Once we get to May 26th, Jupiter moves out of Taurus for good and into Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini, I think one of my theories is that it's going to increase socialization, external communication. I mean, we're all chronically online to some degree, and we might still be with Jupiter and Gemini, but I think this will actually encourage us to get offline a little bit more and start having more in-person experiences. Gemini wants to talk to the person at the cashier at the grocery store. Gemini wants to talk to your neighbor. So having Jupiter and Gemini is going to encourage all those things and bring about a sense of community. One thing about Jupiter and Gemini is that it's technically in a sign that it doesn't function as best. So this is really one of my collective wishes for the world, is to bring more nuance into things, especially during an election year where things can get really polarized. And I think Jupiter and Gemini is actually really good at hopefully bringing in some nuance and openness and dialogue to things, so that we aren't, oh, you believe this, so you must have all of these other beliefs and you must vote this way. It's like you don't have to fit into two camps. It's like you really get to kind of figure out what you stand for and what you believe and the actions that follow through with that, and how you relate to other people. It cultivates openness and nuance and conversation, which is very, very much needed. One thing we want to be mindful of with Jupiter and Gemini is excessive screen time, and just how media can be a bit damaging when we consume too much of it. It's the idea that, even 100 years ago, we didn't know all the details of what was going on just on the other side of the country. And it took several days to get major news. Now it's the click of a button and the whole entire world knows something. We know all of the details of atrocities. We know all the details of things that we shouldn't know about, like what celebrity broke up with what other celebrity, like things that don't matter. We, for so long, have taken in too much information. And this will be a transit to maybe help us work through that. One of those in particular is the Jupiter, Gemini, Saturn, Pisces square. This is going to come about in the summer. We're going to start feeling this from July through September. So July 20th through September 30th. It's going to be exact in August. And when Saturn comes in, so Saturn and Jupiter are actually not as friendly in this transit as they were earlier in the year. So right now we have Jupiter and Saturn working together in perfect inhale, exhale harmony. When we get into midsummer and into the fall, this is when they start to kind of say, hey, you need to check yourself, each other. So Saturn tends to be the grandfather in this relationship and say, you need to do this, you need to be more responsible, you need to get a hold of yourself. If there's responsibilities that you've ignored, they might blow up in your face. You need to refine where you might have overextended yourself. If you're overdoing your socialization or screen time or media consumption, this is a good time to do a digital detox, to pull away from it all and allow yourself to feel small in your community instead of worldly if you have mental health repercussions from it. That's one of the significations of this. Then we move later into the year into Jupiter, making a positive angle to the North Node. I think this is really helpful. This is a sextile. It's that high five energy that we have between Jupiter and Saturn right now. But with Jupiter in the North Node, it's like, hey girl, how can I help you reach your goals? I want you to be a better person. What can I do? Here's some opportunities. Here's some people. Here's an ounce of gusto to be really brave, to step into your independence, to create that thing that you've always wanted to do in your Aries North Node fashion. It's kind of the lighting the match underneath your seat to get something done in a favorable way. And that's from June 17th. It's exact mid-July, around the 10th through the 12th. And then it concludes around August 5th. And these dates are kind of loose because we're talking about orbs here. Different astrologers use different orbs. Steph and I use pretty tight orbs compared to some astrologers. So the tighter the orb, the more accurate, I guess you could say, the more concise and precise is the word I'm looking for. But you can use a wider orb if you tend to feel things sooner before it pops in.